Hello guys and welcome to AD Carry Breakdown, and of course this video is on Caitlyn, and the first thing you'll see is that I'm helping Lee Sin with red rather than doing double golems. And the reasoning behind that is because I don't feel like with our lane combo it's really going to benefit us a lot by getting the extra XP, and I feel like helping Lee Sin with the jungle is more important than getting slightly ahead with this lane combo. It's not going to help us as much as it would on carries like Ezreal or something like that. So that's my reasoning behind that. So we're laning against a Nami. You can see they're going for my support here, so I return with some damage onto their support. It's roughly equal amount of damage, although Ezreal hit a Q onto Nunu, so that does a bit more damage. But Nami hits into my trap there. It's never good to face check bushes like this early against Caitlyn, simply because most of the time a good Caitlyn player will start with a trap and have traps in this bush always here to deter people from coming into the bush to try and zone you. And that's really why Caitlyn is such a good such a good laner for solo queue. Like, a lot of the times, if you don't see I'm missing a bit of CS there, it's just because sometimes if it's my first game of the day, I'll just miss some CS. It's just, yeah. Anyway, so Caitlyn's a really good laner for solo queue because you can almost 1v2 the laning phase if you can play her right. You kind of keep people away from you and abuse your range, and you need to make sure you're using the traps like this in the bushes. So that's just a little bit of advice on playing Caitlyn. So we're Nunu against Nami. I wouldn't say it's quite the same situation as Nunu against Sona, where Nunu completely gets dominated by Sona due to harass and sustainability. Nami has a heal as well, but it's not quite as strong as Sona's heal, and she doesn't have quite as much of poke as Sona does, because she makes up for it by having a bit of some CC and, you know, her knockups and things like that. So we should be fine in this lane. It's not too much of a burden. So I'm pushing the lane early as much as I can, simply because we have the ward here, So because I was pushing the lane, Ezreal and Nami wanted to get a little bit aggressive onto me. So I've started doing a little bit of damage to Ezreal, and he actually E's in there, but his E hits a creep. So that was his first mistake, that his E hit a creep. And here I really should have I should have flashed there, or I should have dodged Nami's thing. And I sort of ran for a bit without doing any damage for a while. But I also used my heal and while I was ignited, which wasn't great either. But because we were so close to our tower and the fight was happening here, I'm able to just flash away and get behind our tower. And of course, Nami just doesn't have quite enough damage to finish me off. See, I survive with 30 HP, which isn't too close, but it's still rather close. So because Nunu has a range slow, he's able to easily pick up the kill onto Ezreal, and he uses his flash in a wise way and gets us a kill and an assist. So even though I was really low health, I'm just using my pots. I also should have been using my pots all throughout the fight, and that's a thing really people don't do, and you can get an advantage in fights just using pots. It's not really a commonly known thing to just use pots during fights, but it's something that that I would suggest you guys start trying to make a habit of doing. But yeah, so because of this, we're an assist. I'm an assist up. Nunu obviously got a kill as well, which is going to help slightly. And I'm just pushing up the lane and going to go back. So for some reason, I don't know why, Lux wants to try and lane gank bot, and Kha'Zix, who is their mid laner, kind of has an idea that Lux is there, and for some reason their jungler's there as well. So go through this scenario a little bit. Nocturne just starts running up here. I'm not sure what his reasoning behind this was, and he also should have. Okay, he W'd the Q, but he also just runs in when no one else is kind of with him, and that just gets me a free kill and puts him even further behind in the lane. So here, I'm not sure what our jungler's doing. He's kind of derping about a little bit. He still hasn't made his way down to help us out or done anything for that matter. We're just pushing up the tower a little bit. I get my ultimate now, so I'm going to use that to poke them down a little bit. And for some reason, Lux comes down here, and she kind of doesn't see Kha'Zix, and also still doesn't see him, even though she turned around, and just runs into him, taking loads of damage. I have no idea what was happening then, but she just takes all this free damage. And Nunu decides to run past the two enemies, past the tower, and tries to help Lux. And then that kind of baits me into to attacking Nami, which it was my fault. I'm not saying it's my fault, but it kind of baits me in. It wasn't exactly helpful that he was running past the tower like that. Kha'Zix fails his flash there, which is kind of bad. These people still fail flash at this elo. But anyway, Ezreal's going to pick up a kill here. I'm just trying to do as much damage to Ezreal as I can while Nunu dies, and I'm going to die as well. But Lux picks up a kill too, so it's not terrible, but that was mostly Lux's fault with a little bit of me and Nunu as well. Right, so Lee Sin wanted to gank bottom, so he's waiting in our tri-bush for a bit. There's actually a ward there, so they would see him if he just came around like that. But Kha'Zix is here. We currently don't know that Kha'Zix is here. At this point, we currently don't know. Because Lux, she doesn't even have a ward on her, so that was kind of a bad play from her. There's no ward here, there's no ward here. We have no vision on the map, really. So their mid lane is coming down to gank us. Nunu is playing a little bit aggressive. I'm just doing a bit of damage onto Ezreal. We actually got badly out-traded there. And for some reason, as Lee Sin was coming in, Nunu keeps going in, he keeps going in. He doesn't realise that Kha'Zix is there. And I shouldn't have kept going in either. I don't know what it was just a bad mistake for me to keep going into. I should have just backed off at that time, but you know, Nunu should have backed off as well. And that is bad for us, really, because it just gets Ezreal a free kill when we were ahead, and we could have continued to be ahead. Coming back from spawn, I noticed I can still see them there. They haven't quite managed to push the lane far enough, and I kind of estimate their recall times, and they're doing their recall, and I'm able to stop their recall, which is just great for us because the lane is still pushing up, and I'm able to just push all this up while they're low. Ezreal has only one pot left, and Nami has basically no mana, but Ezreal has no mana as well, and we're able to just push this up and just take the tower down. They're too afraid to do anything. Nami wants to kind of trying to stop me from doing that, and I hit a Q again. So this is kind of like showcasing the importance of going back at the right time. I always thought about making a guide for teaching people when to go back at the right time, but it's really, really difficult to teach people when to go back at the right time. It's just a case-by-case basis. A lot of the times, let me just say, for example, the lane's just sitting in the middle and everything's even. Rather than pushing it to the tower, if I know I won't be able to push it to the tower in time, I'll just leave the lane where it is and go back. Yeah. Lucky for us, our jungler wants to lane gank the lane, and you can do this as Lee Sin and a few other junglers. You can just, his plan is to just run up and W onto us as we engage a fight. So I know what Lee Sin wants to do. We think this Nocturne ult was on us, so that's why I don't stay there. And Nunu kind of just takes a load of extra damage and gets picked up by the Ezreal ulti. So, but because Lee Sin's here, we kind of baited them in, and we're able to just pick up. Well, Ezreal's gonna get away a little bit. Nami gets knocked away here, and I'm able to just pick up a kill on. Well, for some reason, Lee flashes to get that kill, even though I would have gotten it. And Nami runs into my trap, even though there was a ward there, you know. But you can't blame him really, and I pick up a kill there. So there's no real way for them to know that they were being baited there, but there are subtle signs, and it's depending on how well you can sort of read people's movements and what they're doing, you can sort of know when someone's going to lane gank you like that. Because, yeah, there's no other way to know. So their team actually doesn't have a ward onto Baron, I mean, and Nunu got an Oracle. So, we knew they didn't have a ward. So we're able to just keep doing this with the Blood Boil and my IE Zeal. I just do a bit of damage onto Kha'Zix there, but I make sure I quickly go back onto the Baron. So Nocturne just runs in again like he did before, even though we have Baron and Ezreal isn't even there. Kind of a derp guy, this Nocturne, throughout most of the game. He also built Black Cleaver. I'm not this is kind of like the problem with the, I suppose Black Cleaver was OP at the time of this recording, so maybe that's why he built it, but still, you need some tanks on your team. Jace has, Black Cleaver as well. You can't, even though Black Cleaver was OP, you can't just stack Black Cleaver. But regardless, Nocturne's just, I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or if he's just really not meant to be the elo of this recording. So we're able to just kind of push up onto their inhib here, and yeah, pretty much. You see the amount of damage Jax does to Ezreal there. Ezreal got really far behind in farm, and I'm basically 190 keeping up with Jax. That's simply because Ezreal just wasn't controlling the farm well on his lane, and I was basically pushing it up, and then a lot of it was dying to the tower for him. And when it pushed back up to me, I was going and farming it.